nice to see everybody saying hello and spending time with one another this morning. So we really love to see that. We're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is our regular meeting of Ventura County Transportation Commission. Today's date is March 6th. It is now 9:02. We're calling this meeting to order. And we will have the Pledge of Allegiance. Let's see, Commissioner LaVere, would you like to lead us in the?
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes. Chair McQueen-Lejeune,
Here.
Vice Chair Parvin,
Here.
Commissioner Anderson, Commissioner Brogy, Commissioner Crosswhite,
Here.
Commissioner Enegren,
Here.
Commissioner Engler,
Here.
Commissioner Gorell,
Here.
Commissioner Halter,
Here.
Commissioner Judge,
Here.
Commissioner Lang,
Here.
Commissioner LaVere, Commissioner Long,
Here.
Commissioner Lopez, Commissioner MacArthur, Commissioner Tremblay,
Here.
Commissioner White,
Here.
Commissioner Benavides.
Present.
Thank you.
That's it. Great, thank you. Do we have any public comments not related to our agenda items?
No public comments.
Great, thank you. We're going to move on to our Caltrans report.
Good morning, Chair, Commissioners, members of the public. Monica Benavides, I'm the Chief Deputy District Director for District 7, and I will be providing the Caltrans updates for the month of March. The 2026 State Highway Operation and Protection Program, also known as the SHOP, is anticipated to be adopted by the California Transportation Commission in approximately 2 weeks, in March 19 and 20th, at the meeting to be held at Malibu Civic Center. The draft SHOP was released for public comment on January of 2026, and 2 hearings were held by Caltrans, one in the north and another in the south, in conjunction with the California Transportation Commission. The SHOP is the program that funds Caltrans' major capital improvement projects on the state highway system. This program spans for 4 fiscal years, from 26-27 through 29-30, and focuses on improving the condition and operations and sustainability of our state's infrastructure. For 2026, the total statewide investment is $17.9 billion in total. This represents projects and reserves for projects that will be going to construction in the next 4 fiscal years. I would like to highlight the Ventura County portion from the 2026 SHOP. It includes a total of 22 projects going to construction in the next 4 fiscal years, which totals an investment of $571 million. These 22 projects include improvements in facilities, drainage systems, permanent rehabilitation, mobility, bridge preservation and health, safety improvements, and major damage permanent restoration projects. Now moving on to updates for projects that are already in construction, I will be highlighting 4 construction projects. The first one is a pavement rehabilitation in State Route 150 in the city of Santa Paula. This project was awarded in March of 2025 to Granite Construction for a total of $7.6 million. The project, the limits are from the 126 and 150 interchange to Bridge Road. We're about 50% complete, and we anticipate to be done with construction in February of 2026. The project includes 6.3 lane miles of pavement, 54 ADA curb ramps, bike lanes, crosswalks, and metal guide rail system improvements. The second project is the State Route 118 pavement rehabilitation in the city of Moore Park from approximately Monterey Drive to Spring Road. It was awarded to Rasmussen for $15.2 million this past April in 2025, Pavement operations have started in October of 2025. We're using night and weekend closures to perform the work, with one lane remaining open in each direction. Progress is about 30% completed, and we anticipate to be done next fall in 2027. The third project is the State Route 118 Arroyo Simi Bridge Suicide Prevention Barrier System. Contract was awarded in April of 2025 to Autobahn Construction for about $2.8 million. Construction started in October of 2025. Fencing is expected to be installed and completed by this spring in 2026, so just in a few months. We're about 60% complete. And lastly, I would like to provide an update on the Ventura overhead bridge replacement. This bridge replacement requires full closure of PCH segment for 2 years. The construction contract was awarded to B-Door Construction for $47 million this past October. And we recently held a virtual meeting this past February 12th in an effort to provide project updates to the community. And I'm happy to report that it was very well attended with lots of participation from the community. So this concludes my report, and I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions? If not, thank you for your report.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to commissioner reports. Any commissioners have anything they'd like to share? Anything? Nope. All right. Okay, we'll move to Mr. Erickson, your executive director report.
Thank you, Chair McQueen Lejean. Commissioners, happy Friday. Great to see a wonderful turnout today and exceeding quorum by many members, which is nice. As some of you know who sit on regional boards, sometimes quorum can be a challenge for agency, not for us, thankfully. You have my executive director's report in front of you. As you can see, it's been a busy February. A couple points I want to highlight are we are well into the Federal Transit Administration's triennial review, and as it is obvious, that happens every 3 years, and this is really a pretty significant process where FTA will monitor and review all the funding that has been spent at VCTC, and I just want to acknowledge our program director, Vanessa Schoenwald, and her team, Gaiska Velasquez and Heather Miller, as well as most of the other VCTC staff, especially the transit department. These are always a big process. I did my first one when I was at MTD in Santa Barbara a while ago now, but we're confident that we'll have another good review as we have in the past, although there have been, as you're all aware, changes, especially at the federal level. Luckily, not too many draconian ones in the transportation funding, so we're hoping that continues. Also, we are continuing our progress with the Tap to Ride program. This allows more options for using our transit, using credit cards, using Apple Pay. I took the bus earlier this week, and I saw people using the Tap to Ride, using the credit card. We are implementing it now with Camarillo Area Transit and Valley Express, and those should be coming online at the end of January. And we're continuing to work with all the operators on this, and really want to acknowledge Claire Grasti, Transit Director, and Matt Miller of her team, and Aubrey Smith for the work we've been doing on that. Because we're a small agency, and there's some larger agencies that haven't got to this point yet. So more progress on the transit front. And kind of the exciting thing, well, we have a very exciting speaker coming up. Two speakers. I mean, one from out of the area and one internal. But hot off the presses in front of you is our 2026 Annual Community Impact Report. And I want to acknowledge Darren Peshka, Manager of Government and Community Relations, and the CELTUS team. I know Sandra is here from that. I think this is our our third report that we've done in this format, and I just think it keeps getting better each year, highlighting different things VCTC has been doing, and it helps us when we are out in the community making presentations. And with that, I'm open to any questions.
Any questions? If not, thank you for your report. We're going to move on to, are there any additions or revisions for the agenda?
No additions or revisions to the agenda.
Great, thank you. We're going to move to the consent calendar, but before we go there, are there any public comments for any items on the consent calendar? Okay, if not,
I'd like to make a comment on, what is it, 9C?
9C.
And that's the branch line monthly update. It says that staff is going to plan on coming back with a consultant contract amendment to accommodate the additional engagement with agriculture stakeholders, and I wanted to say thank you for that. But also wanted to ensure that the property owners and the leasees for that area needs to be included in that. So I didn't want to assume that it's only agriculture, and wanted to clarify on that. And then also wanted to make sure the notes reflect on the stakeholder engagement. We walked the area around City of Fillmore and noting that the fencing around that trail is not open. Property owners have either a wall or the wire fences, and I want to make sure that that is clear because that has to be throughout if we're going to be protecting the property owners, is my comment on that, but I want to make sure that it is reflected. So those were my comments. Thank you.
Okay, if we're going to have comments or talk about this, let's go ahead and approve the other items. Are there any other discussion for this item? If there are, we'll pull it. If not, okay. If there are no other comments, is there a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second, White.
Great. Any further discussion? Okay, Madam Clerk, please take roll.
Chair McQueen-Lejeune,
Yes.
Vice Chair Parvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson? Yes. Commissioner Brogy? Yes. Commissioner Crosswhite?
Yes.
Commissioner Enegren?
Yes.
Commissioner Engler?
Yes.
Commissioner Gorell?
Yes.
Commissioner Halter?
Yes.
Commissioner Judge?
Yes.
Commissioner Levere?
Yes.
Commissioner Long?
Yes. I heard Lejeune, and so that's why I apologize.
Commissioner Lang?
Yes.
Commissioner Tremblay?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. We're going to move to our discussion calendar, item number 10, SCAG update, and I'm going to turn it over to our Executive Director.
Thank you, Chair McQueen-Lejeune. It's my pleasure to introduce my colleague and friend, Kome Ajise, the CEO of the Southern California Association of Governments, SCAG. It's exciting to have you up here again, Kome, and I know you have a visitor, too, to help with your presentation that we're excited about hearing from, too. I have the honor of serving on the Mobility 21 Board of Directors with Kome, and as you know from my Executive Director's report, we were just recently in the beginning of the month up in Sacramento advocating for transportation and transit funding and priorities for our region, which, as you know from the PowerPoint you got a little sneak preview of that Kome is going to do, represents more than half of the state's population in our SCAG region, but almost there. I slightly embellishing, but Kome has been a true advocate for our region in Sacramento, and especially at this important time when funding is uncertain. And I just want to thank him for that and recognize him, and thank you for SCAG's partnership with VCTC, which is longstanding and ongoing. So thank you, Kome.
And so I was really, oh, there we go. So I was really excited when Martin asked that we come do a presentation here because we're trying to get the word out. Oftentimes, when we talk about the games, people focus on the venue cities, but the games are regional, and we know that the effect of the games will be regional. We're hoping that all of our communities across the region get a chance to participate in the games and hopefully enjoy some of the legacy effects of the games, which is really one of the reasons we're excited about the games. You all know about SCAG, so I'm going to skip this. I always joke that this is a contractual requirement for me to mention how big SCAG is, but you all know about SCAG, so I'm not going to do that. But I'm going to get straight to the games. And before I do that, I also want to note that I have with me, not only do I have our Chief Planning Officer, Sarah Jepson, with me, and you all know Rachel, but we also have a special guest in the person of Mr. Bill Panos. Bill is the Senior Vice President of LA 28 with responsibilities for all the transportation elements, and I would like for him to come over and talk in a little bit about their role, because they're the ones that are really hosting the games. LA 28 is in charge of the game. So, and I just want to say that Bill is one of the best in the business. I called him yesterday. I said I was going to be here today. And he's like, oh, I'd like to be there, but I'm not sure. What time is it? I said 9 o'clock, knowing that there was no way he was going to make it from LA to be here. Bill got here before we got here. And so Bill is here. He's excited to talk about the games always. So we're going to have Bill come up. But I just want to give you a context of SCAG's role in the games, and hopefully we'll have some questions and an opportunity to address whatever might be on your mind about what the games are. The people always talk about the 84 games and how we've done this before. We did it in 84 and it was very successful, and we're still living off of some of the legacy of the 84 games, by the way. But this is different. The games that we're looking forward to in 28 will be the largest gathering ever of human beings in a peacetime environment on this planet. And that's the nature of the games that we're looking forward to. So it's a privilege for our region to be hosting the world in that respect, in a peacetime environment, to celebrate the accomplishments of those wonderful athletes that were gathered. When you compare us to the 98, 94 games, we have, not only have we grown as a region by about a third, we also have more events, more than double the events that happened then, and the number of athletes has grown exponentially, as you could see on the chart. And so these are unprecedented numbers, even compared to the last Olympics in Paris just a short few months ago in 2024. And so we're setting ourselves up for something real big, and we hope that with all of our participation that we'll be able to make this the most successful games ever. Our role is embedded in the work of the GME, the Games Mobility Executives, and the logos you see on there are the members of the GME. It's Caltrans. Caltrans is always in everything. It's Caltrans, is LA Metro, LA DOT, the Mayor's Office, MetroLink, and SCAG. The GME supports, and basically we support the projects and initiatives that advance both the economic opportunities, sustainability, accessibility, and mobility elements of the games. And so that's really our charge. And particularly with respect to SCAG, we're charged with doing the work on the TDM element of the games. So what is TDM? It's travel demand management. And what that means is we will be responsible for trying to manage how people make decisions on where to go and how to travel during the games. We're already having a hard time getting from point A to point B in our region today because we have constraints in our mobility options. imagine when we have a few more million people join us, we need to start thinking more strategically about how people move, and not just for people, but also for freight. Goods movement is also an element of TDM. So as a result of our role, we had to, as we do, and as most public agencies do, you go to your board and get your board to give you some guidance of how you engage in the process. And so in our case, the games mobility framework was an element that we took to our board. And so the program development framework allowed us to coalesce and confirm what the regional council's priorities, our regional council's priorities, and what our agency planning activities will be in support of the games. And so that's what I want to run through real quickly for you. What the framework is that organizes the work that SCAG does in guiding our work with the basics, having a guiding principle, assuring that we address these two very purposeful activities that is relevant to our region and to our regional council's needs. The program is predicated on our long-range plan. This is the work we do always. We are charged with developing this region's long-range plan, and our long-range plan is predicated on these 4 pillars: mobility, community, environment, and economy. And so we always ground ourselves in that. And same way, our participation in the Olympics is grounded in the same long-range plan, such that we can leverage our existing planning activities to be sure that what we do with the Olympics allows us to have a lasting legacy come out of it. So we further build on Connect SoCal and the pillars to ensure that we prioritize technology, partnerships, and also geographic representation. So the program development guidelines is set up to give us this set of objectives. And we'll work through the objectives real quickly. The first objective is to optimize investments in legacy infrastructure. What does that mean? It's really essentially whatever we invest in now to get us through the games, we want to make sure it's also around for the rest of time and benefits our communities beyond just the games. We also want to use the games as an opportunity to accelerate things that we need to get done. What were we going to do before the games becomes a leverage to accelerate and get some pilots, some innovation in place that we otherwise would have taken a longer time to get to. And also the games allows us to basically align policies and manage our activities such that whatever funding we're using right now, we can also use them to manage, we use the games to actually manage to get those things done. And more than anything, the last element of our objectives is to make sure that in the process of working towards and preparing for the games, that we are showcasing all of our communities. Because the world's gonna come visit. They're not all gonna be going to venues. We would have about, I think, and Bill might correct me on this, I think we'll have about 15 million ticketed events, which means there will be 15 million people, not 15 million people, but 15 million ticketed events, which means people will go to different events 50 million times. It might be 5 million people that have 3 tickets each. Again, I'm confusing myself already. But if you can imagine 15 million ticketed events, most people that will visit our region are not going to be seeing if some of those events live. They will be visiting places that are all around, and they might actually be in your communities visiting as well. And so one of the elements of our objectives is to make sure that our communities are ready and there's placemaking opportunities that will set us for the games, but also hopefully last beyond the games, where some of these activation centers or activated centers might become community parks and other benefits down the line. As I go through each one of these, some of the elements of first objective of optimizing legacy infrastructure is along the lines of looking at what we're already paying for, or what projects we're already going to do, how can we move those faster? looking at opportunities to go get more money where we put the Olympic moniker on it, and then use that to bring more resources to the region, and of course, working in advocacy. We are looking at pilots, you are leading right now. This county is leading on the Tap to Ride thing. It's not something that's common everywhere. We're actually using the Olympics as an opportunity to pilot that on the Metrolink line, on the San Bernardino line. So the open loop payment system is really what Tap to Ride is. And so having the Olympics allows us to move that pilot a little faster than maybe we would have, and hopefully it becomes a legacy part of the Metrolink system. We're looking at some quick builds, things that we can do real quickly that would allow us to create more pedestrian space, more bikeable space in a very short period of time. And lastly, we're looking at mobility hubs. Where are people gonna come in and gather and have multiple modes of transportation meet? Those become essential when you have large movement of people, and those are also opportunities for some commercial activation, food stalls and things like that can become festival villages and games viewing villages. On the TDM, this is the main work that we are assigned to do at SCAG as part of the GME. On the TDM work, we are working with a lot of stakeholders. We started the work last year, and we've had several gatherings of stakeholders to talk about passenger TDM and things like when people will be able to move, where they can, which opportunities are available to them for mobility, when are goods going to be delivered, when can we make sure, how do we make sure that our commercial ventures do not go bankrupt because of the games. We want to make sure that freight can move when there is a crush of people in the region for the games. We have the largest port complex in the Western Hemisphere. The port complex will continue to work. We need to get goods out of there and get goods to the various merchants and businesses that need them. And so being able to strategically think through how we optimize the constraints in the system to make sure that we continue to get goods to merchants, I think is going to be important. Of course, looking at how people move, having the wayfinding and helping folks get around is going to be also critical. And then lastly, showcasing our communities, creating those community hubs, as I talked about, and looking at ways to create more pedestrian activities. One of the things that we have found in, at least with these games there, from our perspective, from my perspective, I should say, I think the greatest thing, the number one thing that we need to account for is security. Make sure that everybody that comes to the games is, they're kept secure. The second most important thing beyond security is mobility, getting people in and out and through our region. I think it's going to be critical, and that's the charge that we have. So creating opportunities for pedestrian, because most of the venues, in fact, all of the venues will be car-free because of security. You're not going to be able to drive to them. And so being able to create mobility options where people can walk, bike, maybe other advanced mobility elements to those venues. Those are going to be the things that we spend some time on, and hopefully those are things that we also hope will enhance our communities beyond the games. I'm going to stop there and see if I can get Bill to come add to, or maybe clean up some of what I just said. Bill, and I should probably just let you know, Bill is not new to transportation. He has run 2 different state DOTs in his lifetime. I know he wasn't going to say that, but I want you to know that he didn't come to this. Is not his first rodeo. So, Bill Panos.
Thank you, Conway. Appreciate it. Hi, everybody. First of all, thank you for having me here, Madam Chair and the members of the commission. Got it. Transportation Commission. You know, coming over the hill on the 101, since I've been back home here in Southern California, I haven't been in this area again, and I'm reminded how beautiful it is, and how over my lifetime how developed it is. and how much I'm sure the transportation demands are in this region. And so thank you for all your hard work and what you do. So as Kome said, I'm Bill Panos. I'm the Senior Vice President for Transportation for LA 28, which is the Olympic Organizing Committee for 2028. I've seen some of you before in other meetings, so it's good to see some of you again. Many of you I have not seen before in other meetings, and so it's nice to meet all of you. Kome wanted me to come and talk a little bit about what we're up to, what's going on with LA 28 and what's going on with transportation. Where are we in planning? Give you a little sense of the size and scale. And Madam Chair, maybe take a couple of questions if there may be some time. Well, it's an interesting project we have. Kome had started to talk about the size and scale. Let me allow me, if I may, to give you a little bit more. And the size and scale is just only one aspect of it. It really is the complexity of the system that's going to be very, very interesting here. As Kome said, it's actually 15 million ticketed spectators. So that means that we're going to have a lot more people here. And there is a lot more traffic demands on our transportation systems. I'm very impressed, by the way, over my lifetime, how we've invested in transportation assets. Not just physical assets, but also processes and systems and transit systems and the ability for people to move around. I remember when I was around in 19. I grew up here. My family's been here, by the way, since 1920, and so I'm fourth generation. And we're working on the sixth right now. And I was around in 1984. I volunteered in the 1984 Olympics, and the assets were not as robust as they are now. They're 10 times the size, and we're still not all keeping up, right? In terms of what we need to build, what we need to fund, what we need to do. And so we have a very interesting project at hand. This is going to be 7 Super Bowls a day for 16 days. 2 Super Bowls a day for 14 days after that. The largest sporting event in human history. And as Kome said, the largest gathering, peacetime gathering, of human beings in world history. I think Ventura is going to be affected. This area is going to be affected by that. There are going to be people that are going to be here that want to travel to Ventura County, to the beaches, to all of the things that you all are so familiar and invested in many ways. And I think there's a role for many, many, many communities. I drove up here this morning from San Clemente. Our venues go from San Clemente, where there will be surfing, which is one of my favorite sports, all the way up into the valley, all the way out to Pomona. It will be 49 competition venues times 2 non-competition venues. That's things like villages, training locations, what we call party zones or fan zones, those kinds of things. Commercial areas where commercial partners are setting up fan zones, those kinds of things, but about times 2 of those, so about another 100, which means that we're moving a lot of people, a lot of freight, and a lot of goods around. Our system is actually fairly straightforward in terms of talking about it. The system's complex, but the design is fairly straightforward. There's only 3 architectures that we're building. One is a delivery, what we call a stakeholder delivery, stakeholder transport architecture. And what that is the Olympic family, the athletes, the officials, all of the NOCs, the National Olympic Committees, the IOC, the International Olympic Committees, and all of those people that are active in that space. We call those our stakeholders. Those stakeholders will number about 100,000. And we will move them around in a secure way throughout the region. Kome had pointed out earlier that security is our issue. It is our issue, our number 1 issue, particularly with all of the movements that are going to go on and the events that we're going to have. You can imagine the level of, not only resources that we're going to apply to transportation, but the resources we're going to apply to security as well. This is a designated national special security event, which means that the federal government will take over control of the security systems and bring forward all of the local law enforcement agencies, state law enforcement agencies, and assets from all over the country to make sure that the spectators and make sure that all of the athletes and our stakeholders are safe. The second architecture is one that you're familiar with, the public transport architecture. In building the public transport architecture, which is quite complex. Oh, I should say something, because let me go back to the stakeholder architecture. I forgot something that's important. We'll build the fourth largest transit agency in the country for 45 days, and then it goes away. It's really interesting to work on a project like this, because as a DOT leader, as a transportation leader, I'm always used to building things and they stay. Here we're building things and it just evaporates, which makes it very, very interesting in terms of the construct of it all. The second architecture, the public transport architecture, is one that you're probably most familiar with. We're going to double the size, the capacity of the transportation system in Los Angeles. So how do we do that? Well, we have great delivery partners like SCAG, like Metro, like LADOT, like Metrolink, like yourselves, to help us to be able to deliver an increased capacity during those days. We're borrowing buses. I think you guys have maybe loaned some buses. I don't know. I don't want to put you on the spot, but transit agencies and commissions like this across the country are loaning us equipment to be able to execute that. I should say Metro and all of our delivery partners' equipment. Our job is to, in LA 28, is to help our delivery partners do the things they need to do. And so we do things like aligned advocacy back in Washington, D.C. We do things like aligned planning through the GME and the GME partners like SCAG and others. So we have a lot going on in terms of the public transport architecture. The last architecture is one of my favorites, of course, is TDM, which Kome just talked about. This economy here that we're all part of, and Ventura is a huge part of our economy, needs to continue with all of this. It needs to grow and thrive. And frankly, on the back end, there needs to be a legacy. There needs to be some improvements as we go forward. TDM helps us to do all of that. It looks at both passengers or non-commercial, what I call non-commercial, and commercial movements, and allows them to continue during the time that we're operating. This is quite, well, if you were around in 1984, I don't know if you remember the great Mayor Tom Bradley from Los Angeles. His TDM was to tell everybody to leave town. Ours isn't going to be that. It's going to be I think, a little more developed than that. But by the way, it worked. And we had a great games. That's it. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the architecture. I wanted to talk about the size and the scale, but really what I like to do most, Madam Chair, is answer any questions that you may have. Sorry, please forgive me.
Great. Mr. Ajise, did you have anything to add before we go to questions? Because we may go long.
No, I think we should just take questions so we
Okay.
don't take too much time. We were going to do a presentation, but my presentation was going to be the presentation, but I thought having Bill here was probably a little better than my presentation. So I want to take the benefit of having him here. No, you're gonna,
Great, thank you. Are there any questions, commissioners? Commissioner White?
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the presentations. Both of you had a lot of really good information about the Olympics, which people are talking about, obviously, already. And as a bicyclist, I get a lot of people saying, well, can we just bike down there? We have a place to park our bikes, and I know it's car-free. And I said, I'm sure they'll do that because they don't want cars in there. But there's going to be a tremendous amount of bicyclists riding around just because it's not that far to, even from here to get down there. But once you get down there, just to ride your bike around there and drop your bike off, lock it up, whatever. There's ways to have bike corrals, they call them, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure you've all thought about that. But the other thing that I'm involved with is a surf liner that goes up and down the coast. And we have board meetings coming up. And one of the things on our agenda is getting people up and down from here to the Olympics when it happens. So there's going to be a lot of people using the Surfliner, using trains to get down there, and getting from the train depots that are down there to the Olympics is going to be another concern of ours on that aspect. But bicyclists, get ready. They're going to be all over the place. But thank you very much for the information.
Well, and just on that, I think you can expect that there will be bike corrals and might be bike valets. These are all the elements of staging that I think the GME is going to be looking at, especially with the overlay of security, where the bikes are parked and how people get to the events is going to be an element of the planning. One could also see where that then leads to an opportunity to leave a legacy of reshaping mobility options where biking becomes a little bit better enhanced with opportunities that are created for the games, remaining beyond the games, and having maybe even some more bike support businesses come as a result of that. So these are the things that are top of mind for us as we think of the games.
Thank you very much.
Great. Anyone else? Right. No.
Thank you. This is, for me, totally overwhelming. I know this is coming, I know it's been coming, but hearing the sheer numbers, when you're talking about 15 million ticketed events, and I'm starting to get a little panicky thinking this is only 2 years away. But anyway, 2 questions I had. With regard to the mobility hubs, can you elaborate on that, either one of you, on what those will look like and what they will entail? They're going to be so critical to this whole project.
Yeah, a typical mobility hub is where you have more than one mode of transportation come together. And a perfect example of mobility hub for us is Union Station. If you've been to Union Station, you can get there with different kind of modes, and there are a number of different trains that come out of there. But they don't have to be as grand as the Union Station. There can be mobility hubs in different parts of our communities where folks can come together, maybe get your Uber, get on a scooter, or get on a transit bus. So typically a transit stop would be the beginnings of a mobility hub. And beyond just having it be all about mobility, you then could see as it grows, it could become where you might have a laundry or a donut shop or things like that. It becomes a little bit of a community gathering environment. So it can then become a community hub where you have a placemaking opportunity. And one of the things that we've developed at SCAG is some toolkit for all of our various communities to be able to kind of think through where they might want to take advantage of creating a community hub or mobility hub. We have toolkits for that. It's work we've done before. The Olympics gives us an opportunity to enhance more of that work. And we have 191 cities in the SCAG region. Many of them don't have the capacity to do a lot of this fancy stuff that we talk about. That's where we come in, I think, at SCAG, where we've created a toolkit and folks can avail themselves of those opportunities and talk to us, and we can help out with that.
It almost seems as though you'd have to have a mobility hub to get to the mobility hub. I mean, when people want to get to a mobility hub to then move on to an event, I'm assuming they drive to the mobility hub?
They don't have to. I mean, mobility hub is really where you might have an interchange of mobility, where you come in on a bus, come in on a train, and then you take a bike or you rent a bike or you take a scooter to the event. That's where it comes in handy. But you could see where mobility hubs can just be where you drop somebody off and they take another mode of transportation to get to the last mile. So it's really connecting to the last mile.
And then pardon?
I'm sorry, Komi, if I may add, just from the state perspective, a lot of the park and ride facilities that are existing that we have, we're converting those to mobility hubs.
I was going to ask that.
So, and they will have components where you could go and park your car or your bicycle in a safe place and then move on to, the shuttle or the bus that is taking you to the venue.
Great, okay. And then unrelated matter, as you're talking and sharing the details of this, and I'm getting a picture of the size. It's been in the back of my mind, but it's like now I'm really thinking about it. And you mentioned about people that will be visiting other areas, not the events necessarily, but and there will be a lot of people that will be coming to Ventura. So with regard to our own communities, and I say little communities because I come from the second smallest city in the county. What can we do as a community, individual communities, to prepare for this? Well, I'll just say visitors, and I can see us being somewhat overwhelmed by it if we don't prepare ahead of time.
Thank you for your questions, by the way. It's 862 days until the games. And I definitely want to leave all of you with this. This is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and it's going to be great. The team that we've assembled from all over the world are some of the best minds and the best and most experienced people in Olympic Games and in transport and in management inside of Los Angeles. So we're assembling and have assembled an incredible group of people that have done this over and over again. This one's going to be big, probably the biggest Olympics in history, but we have it. If we identify any critical path problems, we'll know, we'll identify them, and we'll fix them. But we've got this. And so it seems a little daunting, doesn't it? But it's going to be okay. The people who do this around the world have assembled. And we're going to make this happen, and it's going to be a great thing, not only for our communities, but our families and our children and everybody that's involved. So I want to give you that confidence because we have it, and we want to make sure that we sort of let you know. And by the way, you can find out more and you can be involved. Just to answer your second question, first of all, go to la28.org. There is a number of resources there that you can look to as a community to participate and join in. It will grow exponentially here over the next few months so that you have even more opportunities. Continue to work with your groups that you have now, SCAG and the others, because they will continue to grow their community engagement. Our GME partnership is a great way of seeing sort of the planning that's going on. And there's I think even a TDM forum and other kinds of resources. So there are many, many resources that your staff and that, city managers and that elected officials can go to and engage, and more will be coming. So pay close attention to those and engage in those. Everyone on this dais, everyone here in the audience is going to have their own Olympic experience. And you'll need to engage to have that experience. By the way, I don't mean to pitch, but we really need volunteers. We really need, do you know that in the first hour we opened volunteers, we had almost 1 million people sign up, 850,000 people sign up to be volunteers. In the first hour that we opened ticketing, and we have many, many windows of ticketing, but we had the highest number of people ever just show interest for ticketing. It was in the millions. And so I think everyone's excited about this, to have their own Olympic experience. Each city should have its own and design its own, whatever it's going to be. Each region should have its own and design its own, whatever it's going to be, because there will be resources to support that. There will be information and processes and things that you can do to learn more about it and how to connect. And there'll be education systems and things like that to help connect those communities. And many, many, many are coming forward now to say, what can we do? Can we have something in a park? Can we have a fan zone? Can we have a watch party? I just got back from the Winter Olympics in Milan. All over the city, there were watch parties. Large screens put up in parks and in other places so that people could gather safely and watch this incredible event. And the feeling that you got, do you remember the Sunday when hockey occurred? I think we all do, right? That's the feeling. That's the brand. That's what we're going to bring to Los Angeles and to Ventura and other places. And so I think that's the Olympic experience we want Fillmore and we want all the other communities to have as well.
I do know we have a couple of more questions. Mr. Ajise, did you have something you want to communicate? Or should we go ahead and...
I think to that question about what you could do. I think every single community can do something, and what we want to leave with you is you want to make it context sensitive. You want to make it to fit your community perspective. So whatever assets you want to showcase, whether it's around a watch party, a park, we can work with you on that. And obviously, the resources that Bill talks about, I think, are available to you as well. But if you have any questions, by all means, call us. And we are going to have, I think we already have VCTC as part of our subcommittee on TDM. So through Marty and Martin and his team, you can also get some information.
Great. We do have a couple of more questions, and I definitely hear the passion of your work right now, but we have a couple of more questions. So
Okay.
we're going to try to get through those. Commissioner Tremblay?
Thanks, Madam Chair, and Kume and Bill, thank you for being here today. It's been my experience over 10 years as a city council member that every city council or every commission has someone who, if you forgive the Saturday Night Live expression, sort of a Debbie Downer, to bring to inject a dose of reality into what's going on. And I'm afraid that I may end up occupying that slot today. But let me just paint a context before you, because VCTC's role in this is through funding Metrolink, principally. And just to set the context, and I've got comments for both you, Kume, and Bill, for you, and I've had the privilege of meeting Bill on, I think, one Zoom call. I'm the second vice chair of Metrolink, and Bob can probably give me the hook at any time on this, but I'll leave it up to Bob. But let me just paint the picture for you right now of what's going on fiscally at Metrolink. Metrolink has already received a notice from Orange County. There are 5 county transportation commissions. Orange County and Los Angeles County supply 70% of the funding, operational funding, for Metrolink. County transportation commissions overall are probably responsible for mid 70% of the overall funding for Metrolink. Orange County has supplied a notice already saying they're going to decrease their funding by 10% next year. The notice has not yet been received, but it appears that LA Metro will be decreasing its funding to Metrolink by 3%. So add those numbers together. The ridership forecasts we just received at our last meeting have been revised downward. So from a rate revenue standpoint, Metrolink's revenues are going down. And Metrolink has been advocating for some time to the state of California to try to provide a stream of operational revenue. Because remember, it's mostly all on all 5 transportation commissions, including us. And don't forget, and I know I sound like I'm harping, that directly impacts our taxpayers, our residents. So from an Olympics standpoint, I have been outspoken on this issue since December of 2023, to the point where, in reward for my outspokenness about the fiscal impacts and my concern about the fiscal impacts of the Olympics, Alan Wapner of Ontario and I are the ad hoc committee for LA 28. The chair said, okay, you're going to be outspoken. But I will tell you that I think the Metrolink board, and I have great confidence, share my concern about the fiscal issues and the challenges faced by the LA 28 effort and the long-term impacts on us. The picture from a financial standpoint is not rosy. And my concern is not just the experience. My concern is the post-experience and where those financial impacts are going to fall long-term on Southern California taxpayers, including those of us here in Ventura County. And with all due respect, the Olympics has not had a great track record in the post-experience fiscal reality and burden on local taxpayers. Metrolink, and I can only speak from Metrolink. Metrolink has made repeated requests going back over 2+ years. I've been back in DC advocating for financial assistance. Recently, Congress, and Bill knows this well, $94 million for security assistance. We don't know how that's going to get divided out. It may be, who knows how that's going to ultimately be divided out. Metrolink may have a small amount of that, but there have been no funds allocated for operational assistance for LA 28 yet. And I think I've got two concerns. One is that the set of operational expectations by LA 28 and others may not match realistically what Metrolink's capability is to move people. Kome, with the greatest respect, you just referenced a car-free Olympics. I don't see how that's going to happen realistically in terms of the current operational capabilities of Metrolink. Can't speak for Metro, can't speak for others. The second concern is not just what happens during the experience, but what happens during the post-experience. And I'm concerned about the long-term impacts on Southern California taxpayers for a short term. Kome, I saw your slide 7 and the set of objectives. What I would ask that you consider is adding an additional objective to those 4 objectives. I think it would be a 5th objective, so that SCAG would look at what the overall fiscal impact, financial impact is on taxpayers in Southern California as a result of hosting the Olympics. I'm afraid that that hasn't been looked at. And I'm not scolding, I just say, I don't think it's been looked at. I know the 2 goals that you mentioned are security and mobility. I think security, and I know Metrolink has been working hard with Bill and LA 28 and Metro and its partners on that, but look at what happened in Milan. And we saw that happen in Paris with rail infrastructure and concerns about terrorism on rail infrastructure. But your second goal was mobility. And right now, the Olympics are 860, if you'll just indulge me for a few more days, and I will get to questions.
A few days?
The Olympics are 862 days away. The acquisition of rolling stock sufficient by Metrolink to meet the demand for the games should have been occurring 1,500 days ago, 4 years ago, and it hasn't happened. To the point where we're now, Metrolink is now realistically in a situation where all it has is its rolling stock and maybe a little bit more. And that's it. I mean, you can only do what you can do. Bill, I appreciate, and I'm going to wrap this up, I know. I appreciate LA 28 and its efforts. Your comments on transit infrastructure are great. The transit infrastructure that LA 28 is building is wonderful, and that's going to transport athletes and their coaches and VIPs. But for people to get there, there has to be a whole other set of infrastructure. I know that's what you're referring to in point number 2. And my challenge on that is, how are you going to move people who have tickets to the games? How are you going to realistically do that when you have, 7 Super Bowls per day over the course of 16 days? So if you're going to double the size of transit, I guess my question to you, Bill, is and I know you're advocating, and we've been advocating, but aligned advocacy hasn't gotten us very far yet. It's gotten no support from Congress yet. So my question for LA 28, sorry, you didn't know you were going to walk into a buzzsaw, is how does LA 28, planning on financially supporting local and regional public transit needs from local and, but this is for LA 28 specifically, how is LA 28 planning on supporting financially the local and regional transit needs, both during the experience and then during the post-experience? I think, Bob, I don't know if you're going to give me the hook yet or not, but I want to ask, and putting you on the spot, Bill. That question wasn't for you, Kome, it was for Bill.
You want me to do it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So first of all, of course, I'm really, by the way, it's nice to see you again.
You too. I've only met you on Zoom.
Yeah, exactly. No, I enjoyed our call before. I've been on that side of the dais before, and so I completely understand the concern. And we at LA 28 have been thinking about this along with our city partner, the city of Los Angeles, who's our games partner, for years. We're not just starting to think about it now. As you mentioned, we do have an aligned advocacy with Metro and all of the GME agencies. We have a request for funding that they have identified, and that we have assured and improved to make sure that all of the agencies are represented in the ask, including Metrolink and others. And that is now being funded. Part of that $94 million was part of that that request that's in. So the first flow of 94 is coming, has come, and Congress has supported that.
That's security.
No, it's not for security, actually. It's partially for it's transit only. The security portion is under another bill where we've already secured $1 billion for all of the security agencies, federal, state, and local, to pay for overtime and all their equipment. And we're actually seeking more dollars from the federal government. Please be advised, none of those dollars come to us. All of those go to the public agencies that we're asking to do things for us, and we're not done yet. I was just on a call in my car before I got here about this very subject and about continuing to look and go after the windows of opportunity in Washington, D.C. to continue to flow that request in. Like I said, we already have the 94 was for transport. We have another billion, we have $1 billion before it for security, and we're asking for well, I don't know I'm not really good with the math, but $2 billion minus 94 million. So about $2 billion in an aligned request that includes, by the way, operating money for Metrolink. So we will continue to ask for these monies, and we will continue to support, in partnership with our public agencies, the resources that they need to do the things we're asking them to do. And so that's part of our activity as we go forward. I know we don't have a ton of time here, but I wanted to respond to that because, yeah, that 94 came right out of that transportation ask.
Yeah, I think the difficulty now, the challenge now for Metrolink is that it can provide services to the extent and to the capacity of its existing rolling stock, and maybe a little bit more, but that's it. And my concern is that what is being indicated publicly by SCAG and by LA 28 doesn't match realistically. The expectations may simply not match the existing capacity that the transit agencies have. And the monies have not flowed. Sufficient monies for Metrolink and other carriers have not yet flowed from Washington. And I think I'm hoping most of us, all of us agree it's a federal matter, not really state, but it's federal. And so we only have 862 days to go, and time is extremely short. I think it's too short at this point. But all you can do is provide what you can provide.
Great, thank you for your comments. Did you have something?
You just want to correct something. It's not a car-free games. What I'm suggesting is the venues are going to be car-free, but folks can still drive to a point. So there will be auto mobility in the region, but because of security, there will not be cars allowed in the venue areas.
Originally, it was advertised as a quote-unquote car-free games.
Yeah, but
that has not that has been scaled back.
I think that was mislabeled. The idea
I
was
agree.
you couldn't get cars into the venues.
I agree.
Okay.
But just to
Thanks,
be clear,
Coleman. Thanks, Bill.
there is in fact there's been an ask. It's not for lack of pressure. We've been asking for resources for a while, and there is about, I think it's like $144 million for Metrolink operations. That's included in the $2 billion ask.
Well, yeah, that's not quite Metrolink's ask, but I understand. It just nothing's been done yet. We haven't seen tangible results. My point is we haven't seen tangible results from Washington yet, and that's the complaint.
Great, thank you, thank you. We have a couple of more. I'm going to go Commissioner Halter, Commissioner Tremblay, and Commissioner Long.
First, I wanted to thank.
Commissioner Engler. There.
I'm sorry, Angler, I'm sorry, Angler.
First, I wanted to thank Tony Downer for your comments and your concerns, and please say hi to your sister Debbie for me. Okay, and I'm very familiar with those points. But I also want to thank our guests here to present for all the hard work that's going on and the excitement for the 2028 Olympics. Obviously, there's things that are happening nationally and internationally between which LAs that we have out there that would want to come to LA versus everything that's happening in Washington, D.C. That is an unknown how those things will impact 2028. But I know as you get into the down to the boots on the ground, the image, the challenges are far different than what we see nationally on the news and internationally. I know that. And then the other thing is, but it does come down to funding, and most important is, of course, safety, security, functionality. But usually we take this opportunity for having something such as the Olympics. Historically, it gives a city, a region, a chance to really elevate their infrastructure, their needs, their notoriety, and what you want billions of people in the world to see. And I'm hoping that we have a concerted effort already underway and continuing and strengthening to meet the needs, but also to showcase what an unbelievably beautiful, fortunate, blessed place this region is, and how why we have so many of the inventions that have changed the trajectory of humanity in the last 50 years has emanated out of our region. And the excitement of being part of this and seeing and enjoying why we all live here and be part of such a culture that has that type of creativity and innovation as a big part of who we are. But with that said, I'm not sure what's going on from, I'm a landscaper by profession, and so I'm very concerned about we have so much beauty around us, but we have so much ugliness that has been created as well by our urbanness, whether it's the 10 freeway or the 5 freeway, and what people see as, I would love to see us spend a lot more interest, a lot more attention, just dotting the I's and cleaning up, knocking down the weeds, picking up the trash, taking down the graffiti, and making sure that we're ready to receive the visitors as we would in our own homes. And I'll finally say, so I'm not sure what's going on. I'd like to ask that question and know that I'm hoping that the notoriety that comes from this is the increase in use of the MetroLink. It's far, far past time for that to have happened in this region. And having it car-free to the events, I think as long as I trust that you're making, taking the time and due diligence to make sure that we have backup plans and so forth for things like that. But the obvious and the easy thing each jurisdiction could do is try to clean up our own communities, what people are going to see, and make sure they're safe, make sure we put our best foot forward, just like you would on that holiday party when you have hundreds of people visiting your home. And I think back on the first time I went to Europe when I graduated college. I went to London, and it took me 25 years to go back to London because it was filthy. It was filthy at the time. If any of you remember back in the 80s, it was the buildings, beautiful buildings, but they were black from soot. Now London's absolutely beautiful. But it took me 25 years to get over my first impression. So if we really want that long-term benefit of having such an event as the Olympics here in Southern California, I think we owe it to each one of us that live here and thrive and are proud of being here to make sure that we put our best foot forward and that we all work on, whether it's Caltrans, MetroLink, individual cities, working on cleaning up our communities, putting our best foot forward. And I'm trusting that you're putting a lot of time and effort into making the functionality work for our community. But if you could just speak for a minute on anything that you know of along those lines as far as getting our communities set up and cleaned up to receive these type of visitors.
Oh, I think that's a really excellent point you make about being prepared. You know, many of us that are involved in this are involved in it not just for the glory of the Olympics, but it's really mostly for the opportunity to elevate our communities, opportunity to change mobility stance in our region. For us at SCAG, MetroLink is the backbone of our mobility system going forward. We don't expect to see new highways built. We expect to grow capacity on our long haul routes on the rail system, on commuter rail system. And so MetroLink's always featured as that for us, which is why we carried we went forward and applied for funding for MetroLink locomotives, the clean locomotives. We just got that money from the state, $52 million. It came through SCAG. So we have that at the backbone of at the back of our minds, that this is the backbone of our mobility system. And the intent is to use the Olympics then to grow that and hopefully move folks to use MetroLink as an option and create more choice in our mobility options so we can reduce those pathologies of mobility that we've inherited inherited from the past. So having those options like biking and pedestrian opportunities, I think we see a lot of our communities doing that. The work we're doing in Sarah's shop on the quick builds and looking at how we might set up more active transportation projects. It's really with the intent of going beyond the Olympics and creating those choices. Once the games are gone, people will find that they don't have to drive everywhere because we have biking opportunities. So I welcome this conversation because I think this is where we want to be clear-eyed about what we're doing. It's not just about the games. It's about what our communities look like post-game. So the legacy element of it is one of the things that our board was excited about pushing the games for. Each community is going to have to do what they need to do. In terms of the funding, I was back in DC about a month ago talking to staff on the Appropriations Committee. They're writing the bills for funding. They're working on anticipating the president's budget. One of the things that we heard over and over again is that the funding package that they have in front of them now to support the games, they felt like this was more of the package that makes sense for them. And so we got that impression from just about both the Senate and the House committees that we talked to. And you know, just to clarify, $1 billion was put in the reconciliation bill from last year for security. So that was taken care of. That was security. We're beginning to see some funding trail out of this package, as Bill said. The $94 million is part of that, and we expect that. Hopefully in the president's budget, we'll see some more money. It's not for lack of asking. We know that if we don't get those resources, we will not have the capacity. And so part of me is just eternally optimistic that we will get the resources. Maybe a little late, but we will get the resources we need. And we're going to be able to host the games appropriately as we need to, and hopefully fund the elements of MetroLink that needs to be funded.
If I may, Madam Chair, address the freeway concerns. Thank you, Kami. I know you mentioned the I-5, the I-101. Those are all routes that are close to the venues and will be utilized to transport, athletes and also the gets or the buses that will be taking participants, volunteers to the venues where the events will take place. So I just wanted to assure you that Caltrans does have a plan for beautification of those areas, ports of entries as well. So we're actively working on that. And actually, we're working towards the FIFA event, which is happening just, this summer. So we're working towards beautifying that area to make sure that, our visitors look at a beautiful LA city. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Angler?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not quite as glass half empty as my colleague down here. I have more rose-colored glasses on. But I think you could tell there's a combination of excitement and anticipation with a heavy dose of trepidation as well. So I think I consider myself from Thousand Oaks. We consider ourselves games adjacent. We don't have any venues in Ventura County, but we are very close to some. Most of the main venues now have been chosen and assigned. My question to you now is, have some of these party zones been identified? Have some of I heard this morning that I hadn't heard before, is that some of the cycling events may come very close to Thousand Oaks. Have those events been assigned, and where can I find out that information?
It's a great question. So we can obviously connect you with our government relations organization, and they can either come to you or we can have a group of you actually come to our headquarters in downtown Los Angeles so you can see some of the things that we're working on. You had mentioned I'm going to sort of take them from the rear towards the front. you had mentioned road races. So we have about 9 road races. So remember, it's biking, it's marathon. I'm not going to go through them all, but it's marathon, it's et cetera, et cetera. So we have those road races generally identified, and we're working on a couple of ending points for some of them, and making sure that all of our delivery partners, including the city and some of the other communities that we're moving through, are okay with where we're going. But we've got through many of the hurdles, because you can imagine putting a road race together. We have to actually first design it, and then we have to go to all of the international federations of sport that are related to that and get their buy-in to that. And for marathon, there are a lot. And so they have to say, yes, that will fit our sport needs, our world record needs, our timing needs, our physical needs. It fits all of that. We have to get all those approvals. And then as we're doing that, we're adjusting and adjusting. And as we talk to our delivery partners in the communities, we're adjusting and adjusting. And so we're just getting finished with road races now. That's the last bit. I should have we don't see those as one solid venue because it's moving through so many cities, but it is a big chunk of what we have to plan and do with our delivery partners. I can absolutely put our government relations group in touch with this group so that we can make sure that you have the information that you need about, as those things are developing, that you have the information. Now, help me out with the first part of the question.
I believe my first part had to do with venues, from a Thousand Oaks perspective, we're looking at how we can attract visitors to our location for to be part of the games. But
fan zones and things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're starting to see those now. Cities themselves are actually starting to identify where they think they might want one, and then what's associated with that, and what's associated with the security components, what's associated with the transport components, those kinds of things. And so we're only now starting to see them, because we've just finished with where all of the venues are located, with the exception of the road races that we're just finishing now. So there won't be any more venues, by the way. We're set. So the venues that you know about, and we could probably make available to you too, and I probably should have brought one with me, a slide that shows all the venues and where they're exactly at. But that's locked. So, and then like I said, we're just finishing the road races. So I think a lot of it has to do with the communities themselves saying, we want a fan zone, and we want it in this location. And we actually have a fan zone team that works with those communities and helps identify what those are, how much space is needed, that kind of thing, as we go through the planning. And these are people that have set up fan zones all over the world, adjacent to the Olympics. And so they can help these communities do that as well. So we've got a pretty deep bench, and we would love to make them available to you, I'm sure. Yep.
Great. Go ahead, Commissioner Long.
Thank you very much. And Commissioner for Caltrans, thank you for bringing up FIFA. It's 100 days till then, and that's one of the largest global soccer games. We have host cities as Santa Barbara and LA. We have thousands of people, 8 matches going. And I'm wondering if we're considering making sure that we're learning the process of that to do it, and also facilitating. You said ridership is down, but many of those that are global love to ride public transit. That's what they very much understand. So I wanted to make sure that I hadn't heard anything about that, if we're preparing for that. And then after that is the Super Bowl. And then we have a huge World Cup for golf. And then we have the Olympics. Southern California is going to get hit, or we're going to have a great opportunity to have a lot of people coming here from international. And I want to make sure, what are we doing? Because most people that I hear when I travel is, oh my God, the gridlock, how horrible it is, how dirty it is, how you have so much homeless that are on your sides of your roads and so forth. How do we make sure when people are using our public transit that they are going to be safe, or as safe as we can possibly do? And that starts in June of 2026. Not even in 28. So I am concerned, if we're getting funds way down the line, what are we doing today? And I was hopeful if you could hit upon that.
There's actually a lot of work going on for FIFA. In fact, the federal government just approved $100 million for the 11 cities, and there will be a chunk of that, a small amount of that comes our way, specifically for FIFA. And all the events will be at SoFi Stadium. There are 8 matches that are in our region. And there will be, I think there's already coordination on the transit side to get folks in and out of SoFi. There will be, just like you said, the teams are going to be all over the place, training and acclimatizing. And so the effect is not just going to be at SoFi. I think that's all part of the makings. Now, we are not involved in where teams find themselves and all of that, but we also know that we're going to have a lot of folks that travel with teams that will be additional to the population we have in our region for that period of time between June and July this year. So there is work going on for FIFA. We expect that you'll begin to see more of the programming on the mobility side. What cities are doing in terms of cleanup and all that, that's totally out of our purview, but I imagine that there's a lot going on with getting ready and having the right presentation of our communities during the FIFA period.
Well, and I appreciate that. I was just back in DC 2 weeks getting an update on it, and I wanted to bring it up for the commissioners. We have a host city in Santa Barbara. People will be staying in our hotels all the way through to Los Angeles. They will be traveling our roads. So it's not just LA that needs to be cleaned up.
Absolutely.
Graffiti, everything, it should be already removed, but it's another time where it's an opportunity to really improve. And so as city council members in county are sitting here today, I want to make sure that we're looking at that more logistically for these events coming up. So we really need to show good colors. So
And I
thank you.
appreciate you bringing that up about FIFA, because one of the things that we had done and we had thought through in setting up our TDM work for the Olympics is for us to be able to try some things out with FIFA, with the Super Bowl, and then hopefully be ready for the Olympics on the TDM activities that we're doing already.
Can I just mention one thing? We, thank you again for the question. We're using all of those events as test sites, so we're sort of co-locating processes and co-locating systems and seeing if security issues and transportation issues, if they work. And so we're doing that with our delivery partners and all over. And so we're not going to let those go without actually using them for testing. And then we have a very large, it's one of the largest in the world, testing programs that the Olympic does before. So we use all of the events, so we save dollars that way. And we also are using the events that are already existing, and then we piggyback that onto a very, very robust testing program to make sure they go off well, and to make sure that we've considered all of the things in the venue and out of the venue as we go forward. So we're going to be using those as well. Thank you. You're welcome.
Great, thank you. Mr. Erickson?
Madam Chair, if I could just make a few closing comments, and I should have done this initially, but in addition to our staff partnership with SCAG, the commission has many important roles on the SCAG organization right now, and I would be remiss if I didn't note that Commissioner Jenny Crosswhite is the second vice president of SCAG right now, and Commissioner Mike Judge is chair of the SCAG Transportation Committee, and we also have representation from Commissioner Vianney Lopez on the Regional Council, and I believe Bob Engler, you're still on a Regional Council also, so and also. Bill, thank you for joining COME in this. I was a volunteer in the '84 Olympics also. Growing up in Santa Barbara, I've shared this with some of you, but my late mother was from Finland, and we ended up hosting a good number of the Finnish Olympic team at our home. Got to see the rowing event at Lake Casitas. Some of you might remember. It's the only gold medal I've ever seen when Pertti Karppinen won the single sculls, and it led me to row in college. Not Olympic, but it was. I think, as was noted, the magic of the Olympics is something that's wonderful. And this was a great discussion, especially looking at some of the challenges we have right in front of us, in addition to the opportunity. But the EDC, which many of you serve on also, Bruce Stensley, as you know, has been having a very active outreach now, working with Visit Ventura and the other cities. So we'll continue to share information and do everything we can in Ventura County to help make these games a success, including the very close soccer games coming, which are just in in June. So thank you all for thank you for the presentation, and thanks. That was a great discussion, Madam
Yes.
Chair.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. And as you can imagine, as myself, this is the first time that I've had an opportunity to actually hear from someone who's actually a representative of the Olympics. So it's great to have you here. I'm sure a lot of us have gained a lot from your presentation today, and we thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Great. We're going to now move to our last business item. This is the Motorist Aid Programs Update, and this is from Mr. Kent.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the Commission. Andrew Kent, Program Manager for VCTC, and I have a receive and file presentation on Motorist Aid Programs 2025 Year-End Report to the Safe Board. The California Legislature established SAFEs to encourage development of motorist aid systems. VCTC serves as the SAFE for Ventura County. Funding is provided by a $1 annual vehicle registration fee on all vehicles registered in the county. Originally, motorist aid was limited to highway emergency call boxes. However, over the years, the legislature expanded the allowable uses of these funds. Today, our motorist aid programs include Freeway Service Patrol, Incident Responder Grants, and the SoCal Call 511 system. Just quickly, this is a map of the SAFE network, which is defined in legislation, including freeways, highways, major unincorporated county roads. SAFE funds must be used to benefit motorists traveling on this network, with the goal of improving safety, reducing congestion, and aiding motorists in need. In May 2025, the SAFE Board voted to decommission the call box program and redirect resources to other motorist aid programs. The call box program decommissioning plan noted 3 alternative motorist aid programs as higher value uses of SAFE funds: Freeway Service Patrol, Enhanced Traffic Enforcement, and the SoCal 511 system. This presentation will provide the board with a 2025 year-end review of these programs, as well as a discussion of staff's work looking forward to 2026 and the future of the program. Starting with Freeway Service Patrol. FSP consists of a fleet of continuously roving tow trucks on congested highway segments during peak periods. The program's goal is to reduce congestion and the incidence of secondary accidents from vehicles broken down in the right-of-way. All services are provided to motorists at no charge. For some context, this is my favorite motorist aid slide. Ventura County motorists lose about 4.3 million hours annually to congestion on our highways. 16% of this congestion on our local highways is classified as non-recurring incident related, so stemming from breakdowns, collisions, debris, unanticipated non-weather events. So this represents the piece of the congestion pie that FSP attempts to target and highlights the importance of having a rapid response program. Since the beginning of the program in 2021, our FSP program has interacted with about 30,000 motorists and provided direct assistance, either restarting or towing about 20,000 vehicles. In the past 5 years, FSP has changed nearly 4,000 flat tires, the most common service provided, assisted the Highway Patrol with about 2,300 collisions, and removed dangerous debris on 1,900 occasions. In monetary terms, the program has returned an estimated social benefit of about $5.2 million per year. That's in terms of delay savings, fuel savings, and environmental benefit. This is our deployment effective July 1st, 2024. In the summer of 2024, we extended B2 to cover the Oxnard portion of US 101, as well as extend on-call service to SR 23 and shifted our service hours to better match travel patterns. This map shows hotspots for recorded FSP assists in 2025. The Oxnard portion on US 101 that we expanded into became a significant area of activity with the extension of the service. In 2025, FSP responded to 6,267 motorists on US 101 and 118 for an average response rate of about 3.5 FSP responses per service hour. Of those motorists, 3,852 were provided with direct assistance to restart their vehicle or towed to a safe location off the highway. And Caltrans has calculated that we have continued to maintain our 3-to-1 benefit to cost ratio goal that the state sets for us. Looking at assists year over year, our assist rates have remained fairly consistent. We have noticed a slight decrease in the Beat 101-2 assists, covering Camarillo and now the Oxnard portion of US 101, which we did expect to see a bit of a trade-off with extending geographic coverage. Since the Oxnard portion of US 101 has a fairly significant recurring bottleneck, we do stand by the decision to expand service, even if we have seen that it's cost some assists per hour. I will note that as we move into our new FSP contract rates in the spring, we will be looking very hard at the assist data to find ways to maintain and to try to increase FSP driver productivity so that we can maintain our benefit to cost ratio, especially in the face of escalating costs for the program. The busiest time of day for FSP moved from the second hour of the PM period or PM shift to the first hour, which fits with the overall pattern that we've seen with more travel occurring in the midday in recent years. Our goal is to deploy service to maximize impact on freeway congestion, and we typically like to shoot for seeing our peak assist activity about an hour ahead of peak congestion times. And we continue to monitor delays and travel patterns to try to optimize our FSP shift scheduling. Due to the program's model of continuous patrolling, FSP trucks were able to reach motorists in under 5 minutes in 47% of reported cases, in under 10 minutes in 81% of reported cases. With the expansion of Beat 2 and the on-call service, this did seem to reduce a little bit arrival times under 5 minutes, but it did increase reported arrival times under 10 minutes overall, which is sort of what we expected by extending the Beat geography. According to motorists surveyed, they commonly report a quoted wait time for AAA of 40 minutes on Ventura County freeways and highways. So the program has been successful at significantly cutting down on the time disabled vehicles are exposed to highway traffic. For those motorists that we've helped, we've reduced, you could say, their exposure to traffic on the side of the road by about 30 minutes on average. We continue to receive excellent feedback from the public on the program. Motorists regularly comment on our drivers being friendly, calming, and having a professional demeanor. The most common suggestion that we continue to get for the program is improving awareness. And with our going into our new contract, we do intend to work with our public information officer to push out more media or to push out more information on social media and in other public forums to inform the public about things such as how to identify an FSP truck and letting the public know what to look for, letting them know that FSP will never charge them for service, and also that FSP is the only tow service that can approach motorists unsolicited. Unfortunately, we have heard some reports of other tow services trying to imitate FSP and charge a fee.
And Drew, if I could just make a quick comment on
sure.
the customer feedback. Some of you who were on the commission at the time remember 2 years ago when we had our district attorney, Eric Nasarenko, address us. The service, he was one of those nearly 4,000 flat tire repairs. And I remember when he called me and said, "Isn't that something VCTC does?" And he explained what happened and how quickly they were there, how helpful they were. And he said, "I didn't tell them who I was." And I said, "Well, we're actually having our annual report. If you'd like to come." He's busy. I didn't think he would, but he did. But I think it's just a reminder how quickly they can help somebody in a jam. And that is just part of our overall public safety, working with CHP, working with our partners in this Caltrans to make our roadways safer. Because as all of us know, at least in my experience of looking at other drivers, they're not safer. People are driving too fast. They are tailgating. They are, I would argue, driving more recklessly or as recklessly as they were during any time I can think of. So this is one tool in our tool belt to help the roads be safer, along with our partners in law enforcement and CHP. So thanks, Drew.
I'll also add on to that our FSP drivers are specially trained. They have an extra training to really get in and out of these situations quickly and have much higher screening than your typical tow truck driver. This is a map of the new FSP deployment, which was approved by the board last month with the contract award to Platinum Tow and Transport. And this is what staff is currently working with the tow contractor to implement by July of this year. I'm happy to report that the new FSP trucks have been ordered, and we're working to outfit them with new tablets, printed materials, and a new wrap design, or slightly modified wrap design. I also wanted to note, since it came up this morning, that in our contract, we do have a very healthy extra work budget. So we can use that for things like the Olympics to provide weekend service or extend hours of service for Freeway Service Patrol. I have a brief report on the Incident Responder Grant Program. The SAFE established the Incident Responder Grant Program in 2019. The grant program provides grant assistance to local first responders to purchase equipment related to motorist incidents on the SAFE network. We provide grant assistance through this program typically as the SAFE fund balance allows. We usually review the SAFE fund balance every 2 years to see if we can do a new round of incident responder grants. This table is just a brief summary of the last round of awards approved by the board, and these funds are all currently being spent down or have been closed out. The board has awarded approximately $2.7 million over the 3 incident responder grant rounds to provide local incident response agencies with traffic enforcement equipment, collision investigation equipment, cities with emergency vehicle traffic signal preemption systems. And I will say that all active incident responder grants are currently due to close out by June 30th of this year. The executive director may approve a 1-year extension. And for the round 4 call for grants, that is currently to be determined, but it is possible for 2027. I will note that due to the increased demand on SAFE funds for FSP and other program areas, that future incident responder grant rounds will likely need to be a little bit more competitive than they have been in the past.
And Drew, sorry, if I could just jump in one more time. Would you mind going back to the picture of the incident responder grants? I just want to take a moment to emphasize how important these grants have been for all of Ventura County. Here we are in Camarillo, which utilized the Opticom signal preemption system. This probably wouldn't have happened if it hadn't been for these grants. And I always want to take a moment to brag on my staff. Drew is part of Amanda Fagan's team, along with Caitlin Brooks. We administer those grants to the county. It's quite a bit of work. Many commissions have this funding, and they choose not to do it. They choose not to use these funds for this because it's something they don't have to do. But these grants have made a material, significant improvement to safety in all over the county, from county fire to cities. And I'm just grateful we're able to do that and utilize this funding, I feel, in a very cost-effective way that improves the community. So.
Yeah, and the Camarillo signal preemption project, that's an awesome project that we funded. And this table is just a quick look at where we are with rounds 1 through 3 awards. As mentioned, we are expecting either closeout paperwork for round 3 from all the award winners or a request for an extension by the end of the fiscal year. I have another quick brief on the SoCal 511 program. The SoCal 511 is considered sort of the natural evolution for motorist aid in a post-call box world. It is essentially a mobile call box program that connects motorists to aid through their cell phone. Staff is currently working to try and improve public awareness of SoCal 511 in Ventura County for motorist aid purposes. Most of the calls that we do receive through 511 are typically for transit info or for some other purpose. Staff does plan to return to the board this year with an item to implement additional call 511 for motorist aid signage in the Caltrans right-of-way. The SoCal 511 partner agencies are currently working on a strategic improvement plan to guide the program into the future. And we're trying to urge everyone to participate in the survey, which is linked in the staff report, and provide feedback on the program. The SoCal 511 partners are also working to update the logo and marketing materials for the program. There's a few potential examples of the future 511 logo here. Personally, I like the retro 80s one, but happy to take requests. The SoCal 511 program director is also planning to release an RFP to modernize the system technology, hopefully this fall. Enhanced traffic enforcement. This is the newest program that we're currently working on, leveraging our partnership with the Highway Patrol. And as mentioned at the beginning, this was one of 3 areas in the call box decommissioning plan that the call box decommissioning plan called out as an alternative use of safe funds. Excuse me. Providing enhanced traffic enforcement would come in the form of overtime contract agreements with our local CHP area commands. The CHP, in our conversations with them, have suggested a surge enforcement model to address areas which are prone to high severity collisions. So this would look something like a monthly escalation of a CHP officer presence, either concentrated on a specific highway or a specific problem area on our freeway highway network. In our draft 26-27 budget, we have included an allocation of $50,000 each for the Moore Park and Ventura CHP areas, which would equate to about 500 to 700 additional officer patrol hours on our highways per year. We would also form a technical advisory committee, or we would plan to regularly meet with the Highway Patrol to review the program and discuss deployment of these overtime resources. And I thought I would just provide some statistics on collisions on our highways. About 60% of collisions on Ventura County highways can be attributed to drivers speeding, improper turning, and DUIs. This chart shows both total number of accidents in Ventura County or on Ventura County highways over a 3-year period, 2022 to 2025, and also collisions per million VMT, or those accidents normalized by the amount of travel. So the chart sort of tells two different but important stories. One about where we see the most collisions in terms of a raw total, and the other about the probability of a collision event. While we don't see as many collisions on our smaller rural highways, I think we know sort of intuitively that they are more treacherous. That's certainly backed up by the data. The drivers on those highways do face a higher risk of having a collision event. And we should keep in mind that this is an aggregate picture. Certainly on the 126 and the 118, we do know of portions of those highways which have much higher collision rates than the average that's presented. And this map shows county freeway highway segments in the 80th percentile and up of the severity weighted crash index for the SCAG region. So the best way to think about this is that the red highlighted segments show or indicate areas where the probability of a fatal or severe collision event is elevated compared to the rest of the SCAG region. And you can see quite a bit of our highway network lights up. Our thinking for the program is to deploy these resources, or staff's thinking, where we see both high rates of collision per travel and where we see high severity collisions. These are the areas where we believe that a little bit of extra enforcement can do the most good, although we are certainly open to input. This is a program where local knowledge is valuable. And we would also like to work with the Highway Patrol on areas which are typically underserved just due to their limited resources. I'd like to take the opportunity to extend our appreciation to our tow contractor and thank our partners at the Highway Patrol and Caltrans. And I'm happy to take any questions from the board.
Great. Are there any questions? If no questions, thank you for your report. Thank you. We're going to move on to council report.
No reports from general counsel today.
Great, thank you. And now our agency reports. We'll start with SCAG. Commissioner Judge.
Thank you, Madam Chair. All right. Yesterday at SCAG's Transportation Committee, we had a lot of lively conversations, mostly centered around a few things. I'll give a quick recap. The Transportation Committee took action to reappoint myself and the Honorable Thomas Wong as Chair and Vice Chair, respectively, for a second year. So we'll be heading up the Transportation Committee going into 2027. The Transportation Committee acted on two additional items. The first item was the 2027 Active Transportation Program and the regional guidelines for it. There is approximately $619 million available under the ATP Cycle Aid statewide. This approval ensures $129 million will be available through the Metropolitan Planning Organization component of the program. The second item was the approval of the recommended applicants for the Last Mile Freight Program. We saw a couple of different, talking about the either zero or near zero environmentally impacted vehicles, so electric or natural gas or other things. There's a lot of stuff on the horizon that looks promising, so we're hoping to see that move forward. And our informational items that we heard were about the ongoing curb space management program that Los Angeles and I think the city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania are doing a pilot program on. It basically just allows city to use curbs in dense urban areas more efficiently, especially for loading and passenger drop-off and stuff like that. It's a very interesting program. Like I said, it's only a pilot program right now, but LA is doing some really interesting stuff with it. Not too many cities in Ventura County I don't think would benefit from it. It could benefit places where there's a lot more congestion like Oxnard and Ventura, but as far as Simi Valley goes, it's very expensive for The second item was an update from SCAG staff about the Connect SoCal 2050 Vision Goals policy review. And we're looking more to hear about that at our April Joint Policy Committee meeting. That's the end of my report. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Crosswhite.
Yeah, if I could just add two quick things. The student scholarship is still open. So if you have students that are interested in especially community planning, regional planning, urban planning, civil engineering, political science, public administration, sustainable development, or related fields. I mean, anyone can apply, but those are the priority categories. They could be eligible for a $4,000 SCAG scholarship. And then the other thing that I wanted to share is that the Regional Resilience Toolkit has been published. And so one of the quotes that I took note of was that the California, or the U.S. Chamber of Commerce said that for every dollar that's spent on resilience, we save $13 in damages and indirect consequences. And so that toolkit has been published. It's meant to be scalable. So it's how do we prepare to mitigate the impacts of disasters, and then how do we recover more quickly? So that is on the SCAG's on SCAG's website as of now.
Great, thank you so much. We're now going to move on to Metrolink, SC Regional Rail Authority, and that is Commissioner Engler. Yeah.
I was going to defer to my colleague, Tony. He gave a pretty good report on the where Metrolink is right now. Unfortunately, we do have this crunch of money coming down at the exact time when we're trying to prepare for these large events. But we are preparing. We have found that we cannot get new rolling units, but we are in the process right now of refurbing everything we have. And the contract we just let will have just about all of our rail cars back to premium condition by the arrival of the Olympics. And then we're still working on, it's distressing to hear the numbers, and all the board members are given the numbers of rail strikes along any particular day. It's distressing to hear of the number of rail strikes and service disruptions that are caused by it. So I would urge us all to get the word out to everybody that the rails are not an area, they're not a shortcut, they're not something where people should dally at any time, because it is a dangerous place to be. Thank you.
Great, thank you. We're going to move on to LoSAN, Commissioner White.
Thank you, Chair. Actually, Commissioner Tremblay spoke about a lot of things that LoSAN is concerned about. And so I won't go into deep detail about that. We did meet on February 19th. Our next meeting is going to be March 16th. We also have a working group that meets about a week after that to really discuss, how we can strengthen the future of LoSAN. And of course, the future is today. There's a lot of things going on there. Other than that, I have nothing more. Thank you, Chair.
Great, and you can go ahead and continue with the Coastal Rail.
Thank you, Chair. Coastal Rail Coordinating Council met in San Luis Obispo last February 20th, and I was appointed vice chair of the council. And with a lot of things going on with that up and down the coast, some of the most important things that they talked about was the Olympics down south, of course, but also what else is going on with the trains up in the San Francisco area. It's very interesting to listen to the northern people talk about what their concerns are as opposed to the people here in the south. But we had a legislative update. Federal earmark for Olympic pilot services are coming up, and a lot of information on national railroad partnerships. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. And we'll go to CalCogs, Commissioner Crosswhite.
There actually has not been a CalCog meeting since our last meeting. There might be one next week.
Okay, great. And we'll go back to Commissioner White for CalVans.
Thank you, Chair. CalVans met in Sacramento on February 12th and 13th, talked to many people, including policy consultants, Monique Lamone's office, and the principal consultants with the Assembly Transportation Committee, and Hector Leon, who's a legislative assistant for Senator Reyes. Got a lot of good support for it. Of course, it's a very interesting world with CalVans right now We recently hired a new executive director, and we're looking at Proposition 4 money that has been included to us for farm worker van pools. That's been about 2 years. We haven't received a check yet. I don't know, maybe it's lost in the mail. But anyway, Cal Vans is sort of a scary situation with the amount of money that we need to raise to keep going. And yet it's such an important process here in California. I am also the appointed vice chair for Cal Vans, and our next meeting is going to be this week, or next week, I should say, to talk more about what our situation is. So thank you, Chair.
Great, thank you so much. Are there any other comments? If not, we're going to adjourn today's meeting to Friday, April 3rd. The time is 10:57.